Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. Less than an hour ago, Spokane City Council members declaring an emergency and passing an ordinance giving the Office of Police Ombudsman the authority to investigate complaints against the police chief, not just police officers. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk is here now to explain.
Up until this evening, that authority to investigate the chief was reserved for the mayor and Human Resources Department. Over the last few months, Mayor Nadine Woodward has declined to initiate a formal investigation into Chief Craig Meidel over complaints surrounding his communications with the Spokane business community and allegations Meidel provided them special access. Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson called the situation a, quote, hot mess and says the mayor should have launched an investigation. She voted to approve the ordinance along with 5 other council members tonight, including Councilman Michael Cathcart, even though he warned this new authority could actually jeopardize the ombudsman's main purpose. He says it's essential for the chief and ombudsman to have a working relationship.
We've heard a lot of people tonight talk about wanting the police, broadly speaking, investigated. 100%. That's absolutely why we have an independent ombudsman system. The problem is, again, that ombudsman has to have a working relationship with the chief in the code, several times stated, for that to work expeditiously, appropriately, accurately, for there really to be a good outcome at all if you want folks being held accountable.
Cathcart believes the city needs an inspector general to investigate the chief and other department heads if and when complaints are made. Council members are supportive of that, but didn't want to wait any longer to pass this ordinance. And tonight, council members were not ready to vote on another ordinance that would increase the penalty for being in city parks after hours to a misdemeanor. Right now, it's a non-traffic civil infraction. They'll revisit the issue June 26th. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
New tonight, 2 people in Idaho are in the hospital after a plane crashed in McCall. Several people in the area saw that plane struggling to maintain altitude and called 911 after losing sight of it. Police and firefighters found the crash site, and the pilot and passenger were taken to a local hospital and then flown to a hospital in Boise. No word yet on their condition tonight. The National Transportation Safety Board is now investigating the crash. Meantime, a verdict was reached tonight in a landmark class action lawsuit against Pacific Power for massive fires that ripped through Oregon back in 2020. Just hours ago, a jury found the company was both negligent and reckless and should be held financially liable. The plaintiffs will receive more than $70 million collectively for property damage and emotional distress, but the case doesn't stop there.
The damages you have allowed in the first phase are significant. They're a lot and they're life-changing. But not to a company like Pacific World. Not to a company that makes nearly $1 billion a year. That's why we have punitive damages.
The jury will now hear testimony on the topic of punitive damages, which could prove to be even more costly to Pacific Power. New information tonight about a fire that burned about 50 acres near Vantage. Deputies with the Grant County Sheriff's Office say it is now completely contained and they are in the process of mopping up. This was a photo taken earlier today when helicopter crews were called in to help. That fire could be seen from I-90 and temporarily shut down the Wild Horses Monument there. All right, after a rocky week of weather last week, I think we are all hoping for something a bit calmer this week. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo to find out what's heading our way. Jeremy?
Well, it's definitely not calmer this week, but we get a bit of everything. Things stay interesting. 74 degrees right now. And as we head into tomorrow, that fire being out near Vantage is a very, very good thing. Right now, our air quality does sit in the moderate zone, but it's the low end of moderate. You wouldn't even notice the little bit of, I would say, tiny bit of smoke in the atmosphere if it weren't for some of the pollen that's just exacerbating what that's doing to you. Right now, not much going on in the world of, well, storms. Those have all calmed down from earlier in the day. What we will see, though, is a resurgence of those tomorrow afternoon. Those will start up in the mountains. We'll see a few of them move out, a little more isolated than today. And then this right here is our cold front. As that tracks its way toward us, we'll eventually get it moving through here. Let's rewind it. Let's go ahead and erase it. Well, I guess I can't erase it, so it just sits there weirdly. Eventually it moves out, and then wind picks up. For us, the wind is a biggie. We saw a fire start today, and tomorrow, kind of our first big wildfire danger day. Red flag warnings in effect for much of the day tomorrow for dry, windy and hot conditions. Widespread wind advisories for gusts up to 50 miles per hour last through 11 p.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow, another hot one, another dry one, a few isolated storms, and then it gets breezy. Then we cool down Wednesday and Thursday before we warm back up in time for the weekend.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. In other news tonight, a Spokane family was found dead in an overturned car this weekend. The Idaho County coroner says a fisherman found the car in the Salmon River and alerted police. The coroner identified 36-year-old Calvin Miller, 17-year-old Dakota Miller, 10-year-old Jack Miller, and 8-year-old Delilah Miller as the 4 people in the car. The family was last seen at the top of White Bird Grade. They were reported missing that day when they didn't arrive at their destination. Tonight, the community is speaking out about the safety concerns along that road with the lack of guardrails along that part of the river.
It does concern me for people that, because it's a long drive up here. To get from one place to another, it can be quite taxing, especially on your eyes, and fall asleep, you'll go right off the canyon, right in the river, nobody ever know.
Tonight, the investigation continues to try to figure out who was driving and how the car ended up in the river. Meanwhile, we are learning more about the victims tonight. The 2 younger children were students in the Riverside School District. 2 verified GoFundMes are live right now to raise money for surviving family members. You can find a link to both of those on our website, which of course is KREM.com. A new development in a major interstate collapse in Philadelphia that happened yesterday. Human remains have been recovered from the rubble. This came after crews started using heavy machinery to remove the wreckage of the overpass. Earlier today, Pennsylvania's governor signed a disaster declaration promising whatever resources necessary to get the major highway back up and running. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Newly filed court documents describe how Spokane County deputies arrested a man suspected of killing someone at the Red Top Motel. On Saturday, law enforcement received reports of a dead man at the motel. The next morning, they arrested Michael Perry and charged him with second-degree murder. Court documents show he was identified through surveillance videos at the motel. A witness said they heard arguing 2 doors down, and 2 hours later, the witness went into the room with the hotel employee. That's when they found the body in the shower with the water still running. Perry did not enter a plea today. He remains in the Spokane County Jail. His bond is set at $1 million. Today, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students has requested more time to provide his alibi. Brian Koberger's attorney says they need more time to go through all the evidence given to them by the prosecution. Koberger's public defender says they have 51 terabytes of information to comb through. That includes thousands of photographs and gigabytes of electronic phone records and much more. And new tonight, the Bonner County Sheriff's Office is seeking information on a homicide that happened last Friday. This is 86-year-old Larry Johnson. His body was found inside his home in Bottle Bay. After investigating, officials determined it was a homicide. The actual cause and manner of death have not yet been released. So if you have any information, please contact the Bonner County Dispatch. That number is right there at the bottom of your screen. And in Grant County, the Sheriff's Office says a man's body was pulled from the Potholes Reservoir just hours ago. According to deputies, someone saw the body near a boat launch. Since then, the man's fishing boat and car have been found. The body has been identified and next of kin has also been notified. An investigation is still underway to determine the cause of the crash, but deputies say there are no signs of obvious foul play. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word NIGHT to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. Well, Spokane Valley is awarding nearly $4 million in COVID recovery funds to combat homelessness. The City Council unanimously awarded those American Rescue Plan dollars to 5 nonprofits. The projects include a new 36-bed shelter facility for young adults, expanding the Volunteers of America Crosswalk program into Spokane Valley. Other funds will go to SNAP and Habitat for Humanity for more affordable housing. And for a full list of recipients, just head to our website, KREM.com. Meantime, work is getting underway to clean up the site of that now former homeless camp along I-90 known as Camp Hope. WashDOT says the property was officially vacated by the final camper on Thursday night, so now the process begins of rehabilitating the property and bringing it back to its former state. We confirmed today the state will be taking soil samples at the camp to see if any remediation or removal will need to be done. We also learned that increased SPD patrols will continue in that area for the time being. The property is ultimately going to become the site of the North-South Freeway on-ramp.